some nights we'd start here, over Hill to White Hart, down to George, which is now a curry house, onto Magnet, which were a bit rough, like, you know, and then it were up Station Road at Mucky X. You had to wipe your shoulders before you come out, and that were what is it, you know, that were a circuit.
When we applied for this grant, it was to try and establish for ourselves through local people what, in their opinions, were the reasons for such a dramatic decline in some of the well-established drinking houses in the area. We are now in Batley, the town made famous in the 60s and 70s for its Las Vegas-styled Batley Variety Club. The club closed its doors in July 2016 after nearly 50 years and is now a gym. This is the West End Public House in Upper Commercial Street, one of the oldest drinking establishments in the town. Alcohol has been consumed here for over 100 years. I think we can safely say that this pub appears to be bucking the trend, with many of its regular drinkers staying loyal over many decades. Brian Saville has been a visitor for nearly 50 years. As a teenager, a man, and now a pensioner. He likes the place just as it is, a no-frills social hub for the working man.
You know, they seem to put up with a lot in here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People that's in charge, but I suppose they have to make a wage, like, can't they? So they'll put up with a lot more than what other people will. And I suppose, like, you can come in here and you're working boats, you can be blathered up to earballs, you know, and outside, like, you know, as long as you're buying a beer and not carrying on. Whereas other places, like, you go in, you up, they say, I'm sorry, mate, you know, I've just had it refurbished, or have a new carpet down, like, I don't want the tarmac all about carpets, I'm sorry, you know, and that's...
I wouldn't bring my wife in here. She wouldn't come in here anyway.
No.
She wouldn't get over it, you know. She flatly refused to come in here. No, it's not changed.
No?
Nah. Yeah, but I was in the bar. Well, I don't know which is the bar now, here or there. Because they've got can't be a lounge, she's got a pool table. Perhaps they haven't got a lounge. I don't know. No. But yeah, it hasn't changed at all in here. But maybe they haven't got the money to do it.
Well, like, your younger ends, what's coming into pubs now, or older ends such as us, that's above 60, like, you know, you've other things doing now. You've grandkids, you've great-grandkids, you know, you may be a gardener or keep livestock or something like that. So you what it's occupied, you know, you get out of socialising with pubs. Plus, I do go into Nash at Batley, and pals of mine don't come in now. You know, they've just gone their own way. So I don't go out. So I might as well sit at home and talk to a wife, or sit at a pub and talk to a buffet, or try to make conversation with somebody. You know what I mean? I suppose lack of money as well. You know, lack of funds. Things have gone up. Wages haven't gone up to it, I don't think. And such as myself, that's retired. Like, you can't spend your money here, there, and everything. You know, your bills and things to pay before you can start going out and getting a taxi. I mean, if you can't drink and drive, so you have to get a taxi. If you go from Batley down to here, it's a 4 or 5 quid. So if it's both ways, it's a tenner. I mean, I used to come out every single night. You know, when I was younger, when I was playing rugby, 20-year-old, 23-year-old, out every session. I'd hate to think of trying to do it now. It costs me, I couldn't afford it, no chance.
They have to make sacrifices, and they have to try and attract clientele best they can, you know, doing promotions and things like that. But I think a lot of pubs are doing that now, and hopefully the pubs will stay open. But over the years, a number of pubs has been horrendous what's closed around here.
On a Friday or a Saturday night, our lads used to play rugby from Shores, which set off from here at maybe 7:30, down to Steps, onto Vic, the Albion, which is now the Barfield House. We never used to go to Nelson because you had to turn right, and we used to keep on a left swing, like. And then we'd come back up, we might call it Bull, or we'd go on to Wilton, and then up to Exclusive, you know.
When people worked in the mills them days, the lads, the fathers, the lads on the way home, they always stopped for a pint on the way home before they went home for their tea. There is that. Yeah, I suppose that's a lot to do with that. But now, you know, I think, like I said earlier, I think it's a lot to do with family-orientated drinking and that.
Like people come in here, they don't go to Wilton, or they might be scratched from other pubs, and unfortunately this is where they seem to gather, like, you know what I mean? I mean, there's no wrong with them, well, there's one or two of them, but apart from that, like, you know, I don't know why they come here, like, you know, as I say, unless they're pal, you know, they're all pals together.
It's the breweries who owns it. It's a Tide pub, then they are Tide. End of story. You know, they got to buy the beer off the brewery at the brewery's price. End of story. They got to buy the spirits off the brewery at the brewery's price. And then on top of that, you get the high business rates from the local council, which kills a lot of people. But besides, without electricity and heating and everything.
Like when working men's closed down, there were a lot of people from there come here. They won't go to Nash. Nash must have been just a little bit above, so they used to come here, like, in here and then into Wellington, like, you know what I mean. A few of them would get scratched in Wilton, so they'd have to, you know, they seem to put up with a lot in here, you know what I mean.
Darts and dummies, it's another declining pursuit. In pubs, not many pubs now do darts and dummies. The cards, remember in Spen Valley, all the different games they had going, different leagues going, darts, dummies, all fours. Not many pubs now actually do that. But then it's just sort of pubs shut in and people decided to start drinking at home, and that was the end of it, basically. Now it's probably sometimes cheaper to drink at home.
Personally, I think since the smoking ban come into place, a lot of pubs did start closing down.
Well, I don't smoke, but I don't think I'd want to go stand outside it freezing cold, you know, so it's up to everybody. I mean, I worked at Bull next door, well, what's now Chemist, and they always said, like, a tap room, there should always be a tap room, like, you know what I mean? But as things has gone on, like, times have changed now, there's no such thing as tap rooms now. Even at Wilton, like, they used to have them, but it's all opened up now.
Also, a lot of people, with expenses rising, a lot of people have stopped coming out, which meant a lot of people go to the local supermarkets and buy the beers and alcohol and tend to sit at home and drink it.
It's a proper pub, like, you know what I mean? Whereas, yeah, like in Wilton, it's an eating house, and Magnets, they've spent a fortune doing it up, like, so, as I say. I know they're like one or two skirmishes in here, like, they're like, you know, that's maybe another thing why I like, so, I don't know.
There's been lots and lots of pubs closed around here, and I think the ones who manage to stay open will carry on striving to stay open.
Not all public houses end up abandoned or derelict. Many are given a new lease of life, converted to flats, supermarkets or eating houses. It's nice to come across an alternative use for these nostalgic buildings. When the George pub closed its doors, the then owners put it up for auction. Luckily, local businessman Mahmood Bostan came to their rescue and turned the then derelict former public house into what it is today, a successful, thriving business, offering first-class dining facilities and first-class Indian food.
I arrived in England around about 1967 and lived up Mount Pleasant, Beaumont Street, gone to Carlinghouse Primary School, went on to Staincliffe Primary School and then moved up to Batley High, and it's been a great life in Batley. I've got no complaints.
I'm very proud of him. He's been in business for a very long time in Batley. Originally, when he came over in 1967, he started off working for other businesses. He was just a worker. He worked in Cheyenne on Bradford Road. He worked in Dewsbury Town. I can't remember the name of the business, but I've spoken to him about his past, and I always got up to where he is today. He's worked very hard to be where he is today, and my aim is to maintain that and keep it continuous.
I apparently opened in 95 February, small business on Bradford Road, next opposite Netto's. And being a local lad, I grafted, knew the community and public and the pubs, so that influenced a lot onto the people to come to have an Indian Nights meal. And the other thing I brought to the place was that did traditional cooking, you know, proper Indian food. And, you know, I have a clientele of Asians, English, all communities. And this Indian Nights, previously known as George Public House, was apparently one of my first pub deliveries, which I made personally because the landlord was a friend of mine, to introduce myself, not knowing the fact that one day I would be purchasing and moving into as Indian Nights.
Originally, when he bought it back in 97, 98, he bought it. When it used to be the old George pub in Batley, there was a lot of work to be put into it to get it right, to make it look like an Indian restaurant. It's been my father who decorated it all out, and with the help of us, I still remember when he first bought the building and there was an absolute mess inside, as obviously it was a pub before and it was getting changed over to a restaurant. There was a lot of walls being knocked through, and we were, as kids, we were helping out and cleaning up, tidying up. I remember all the friends that came along to help us out, and eventually we did get to where we wanted to, and today we are a very proud Indian curry house, which is based in Batley.
I know the whole community knows me. The ones I don't know me, and the ones that don't know me, I know them.
It's affected us as well with the restaurant trade. We have a lot more busier on takeouts and deliveries than we are in the restaurant. A lot of our customers have, that used to come into the restaurant tend to order to their addresses at home, or they tend to like pick up the food. Then again, it's a lot cheaper to go into a supermarket, buy your alcohol and drink at home. It's you're saving on a lot. Maybe a lot of people cannot afford it to go out every other day.
I've got the regulars still coming and their children now coming. It's been passed on, you know, like, as you know, I do a Asian-style chicken masala, and what has happened when parents have had a takeout and left some, children have taken it to school in their buns. And once they've got used to that, they've started coming now when they're teenagers, and I've got people coming in and telling me, my mum used to come here, my dad used to come here, my uncle used to come here, I used to come as a little baby. Now they're grown-ups.
A lot of people maybe cannot afford to go out and drink, so where they have to go to the supermarkets and drink at home. If the price of alcohol was to come down in the pubs, maybe the pubs would become more successful.
It was a blind sale, really. It was an auction tender. Yeah, it was a blind sale. You had no idea of planning permission, but for me it was not an issue because it was a pub, so catering would not be an issue. But for other people it could have been. But the other thing was that they could be turning into a roundabout here. You know, the highway planning as it comes and goes. It was unforeseen for what it was going to be.
To be honest with you, the business is still there, but it's more of takeout and delivery, whereas with the pubs and the frontier nightclubs down on Bradford Road used to be open, they used to tend to, you'd get a lot more people coming in after maybe, say, 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock. You'd get, once they've come out of the nightclubs and the pubs, instead of going straight home, they'd want to have a quick meal, which would mean they'd come to a restaurant, maybe pick up, or majority of the people used to sit into the restaurant and eat. Yeah. And so, yes, with the pubs closing down, I think it has given effect on restaurant business.
when it was closed, it was derelict. It was like a ghost area, this, because back of us here is industrial. You know, you got Fox's Biscuit, lively, but this particular place was dead and closed, you know, boarded up, and then put a lot of effort in. And over the last, we opened up in 2003. It took quite a long time to get it up and going. And for the last 15 years, it's livened the place up.
And personally, as a business point of view, the more pubs that would be in the area, the more better it is for us business.
Yes.
Before, as like we used to have the Wellington pub, the Rosa York, Irish Nash. There were so many pubs around here, and we used to get a lot of trade from the pubs. We used to get deliveries to the pubs. We used to get customers coming from the pubs, coming into it. We used to have a lot of late trade. We used to only, when we were originally on Bradford Road, we was open till 4 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. Since obviously the pubs have originally started closing down, we've had to cut the hours short, where we now close up at 1 a.m.
Some of it's due to Brewery, the landlord and landlady running the pub, and then as they get better, they just settle in, and then the brewery enforces high rents on them, and they can't survive. And then finally, I mean, it's not a service that's 9 to 5. It's not a 9 to 5 job. It's a job that's involves a considerable amount of effort and enthusiasm, and that's what's caused a lot of problem by the brewery enforcing. And plus, there were old buildings. I think that is another issue. With it being old buildings, they don't want to maintain them and taking out what they could.
It seems many think some of the present-day owners are venture capitalists interested in turning a once social amenity into a money-making facility by pushing up rents and forcing landlords to buy their alcohol and food via their companies. Or could it be there were just too many pubs to cater for the change in social habits? We are sure that the pubs that remain open in Batley will continue to serve beer, wine and spirits for years to come, and the converted ones will continue to serve their customers and keep pace with the ever-changing marketplace.